Oslo. Today the plan is to explore the city, so there's a lot of highlights that we are going to show you guys. Oslo is such a beautiful city, so there's a lot of things to do here. So I'm currently inside the Oslo Hall, a lot of cool restaurants and meeting points for a lot of travelers. The chances you're gonna come here to pass through or do whatever you need to do in Oslo. Right behind me here is the Oslo Visitor Center. I just activated my Oslo Pass. That is a courtesy to visit Oslo. I will be using the pass for 24 hours. That's actually going to be so helpful to navigate the city. I'm going to put the link down below, and that's going to be review for the Oslo Pass. And check it out. And again, thank you so much. Visit Oslo for the Oslo Pass. Staff. One of the cool benefits about the Oslo Pass is that the free public transportation, which covers the bus, tram, the boat within the city of Oslo limits, so you can go to some of the fjord islands. To the Viking Ship Museum. If you know me, I always want to go to Norway, and then one thing that you have to do while you're in Oslo is to visit this particular museum. Thanks to the Oslo Pass, this museum is covered, and then I can just show my pass and they'll let me in for free. So the Egyptians were not the only one who were obsessed with death. The Viking culture also were so obsessed with death. Whenever somebody important died in their culture, they would build like a full Viking ship, and then they buried the person with all of their belongings, anything related to the life, including furniture, cooking wares, agricultural tools, and even like sleds. This particular warrior was buried in year 834, and then all the ship was actually preserved. So this is amazing. It's all preserved. To see how they actually try to make sure that the ship is not falling over, because obviously ship not supposed to stand on land, so they tied all the masts and all the way to the walls. This particular museum is specifically designed to house this particular object, so it's amazing how they come up with it, and even more amazing that I'd be able to see it. Viking. It's just like all the fern looking spirally ship, and it is really cool to actually see one in person. And this is all authentic since 834, and it was really well preserved. It's so cool. One thing to do in Oslo, and then just one thing, just do this guy. You finally be able to see it yourself in this museum. Don't miss it. That's it. That's a visit to the Viking Ship Museum. Unfortunately, it is a small museum. I can spend like a lot of time there. Of course, you're exiting through the gift shop, so if you are interested in getting some knickknacks of Oslo to the Vikings, Norway, you can get it here. Unfortunately, this is not in the city center, so you have to make your effort to get here. Next on the list is the Folks National Museum of Norway. I think that's actually the official name of it, but it's a Norsk folk museum. It's not far away from the Viking Ship Museum. Bus number 30 actually takes you out here and also to the Viking Museum. And also the tickets are free if you have the Oslo Pass, so something to consider. Let's get the ticket. So the Folks National Museum of Norway is basically a series of buildings that were saved from all around Norway. Most of the cases they were disassembled and then brought here and reassembled back to create an open air museum. A lot of the structures have interior exhibits inside. You look at that, isn't that amazing? Two things that I always think about Norway. One is the Viking, and then the second one is the stuffed church styles. This building were completely made of wood and not a single nail were used in construction. And they can build so high and so detailed. Speaking of smoking, that's why you don't really smoke out here, because as soon as you get some kind of accident with fire, buildings like this will burn like crazy. But people still smoke. And they even smell old. And this is all authentic architecture. I'm so impressed. It's funny that there's a Chinese tour who took over our stuffed church visit. So I think the brochure recommended a particular path here, and that's what I'm gonna follow. So let's keep rolling. I thought it was real animals. You know, I love all these wooden traditional old buildings. It's just so neat. They're uneven, they have a lot of characters, and most of them are actually built in like 1700s. So they're like hundreds of years. Norwegian farmhouses have a birch bark roof and waterproofing system. I always find all this roof thing is very sustainable and green, but I wasn't really exactly sure why it designed this way. And all this moss actually put on top to weight them down. I thought it's pretty cool. And then all these raindrops is actually raindrops from last night's rain. That's why you go travel and then experience and learn new things every day. There's a park attendant in her natural habitat here at the barn. Wow, I get a new appreciation of the wooden buildings. It's amazing. We're done with the wood structures. Now we're going to the kind of an older, brickish, more modern structures. Let's check it out. The old town. I'm not used to about Norway is so many people smoke everywhere. And I didn't expect that at all. If you go to Indonesia or Thailand, sure, people smoke there, but in Norway, I guess people do. So if you know, if you have some thoughts about it, leave the comments below. And I personally don't like it. Some people don't care. What do you think? Very interesting museum. I love history, so I find it very fascinating. I love the colonial architecture of Norway. Also highly recommended. You can spend a few hours here just going from one structure to the next and talk to the attendant. They dress up in traditional costumes and they're really friendly, and you can take a photo with them, you can ask questions, and they will be gladly explain it to you. Highly recommended, the Museum of Norway. I have a film of you doing that. I was filming. So. Barge. Birch barge. Birch bark.